Hello friends, and welcome to our shared spiritual practice for this fourth week of Advent. Just a reminder that our purpose in this series is to dive more deeply into the mystery of incarnation, not just as a concept or a theological idea, but as a way to expand our awareness and to experience a deeper connection with God, with ourselves, with others, and with our world. So with that in mind, let's get started. Begin by taking a few moments just to center yourself. Turn your focus to your breathing. Deepen it a bit, slow it down a bit. Just feel the air filling your lungs and bringing life into your body. And feel the cleansing as you exhale. Ground yourself in your space and on the earth. And prepare your mind and your heart, your body, your spirit for today's practice. Don't forget that you can pause the video at any time if you need to stay with any element of today's practice. And then when you're ready, light the Advent candle for today. And sit in stillness and silence for a moment. You may want to gaze into the flames or close your eyes, whatever is most helpful for you in this time. Now become aware of what's happening inside you. What are the thoughts that are dominating your thinking? What emotions are you processing? What are the significant feelings in your body in this moment? What tasks are pressing in on you that you know you're going to need to do soon? Take some time to write these things down in your journal. And when you're done, lay the journal and everything in it aside. We will return to it again later in our practice. I'm going to give you some time to do this. In my experience, and I know that's not everyone's experience, but most religious institutions tend to work from a functional, if not a conscious, belief in a static universe. There's the sense that creation happened and now it remains essentially unchanged. Cultural, technological, and developmental growth is not viewed as essential change. These things are just the outworking of the creative processes set in place by God at the moment of creation. But the universe tends to be viewed as existing pretty much as it was when God spoke it into existence. Which is one reason why I suspect there is such strong opposition to the theory of evolution. And of course, in this view, God is also essentially static, unchanged and unchanging. The story of creation that is believed to be contained in the Bible is actually very short and very simple. The entire span of history from the beginning of creation, often believed to be around 6,000 years ago, to the consummation when Christ returns, which is believed to be about to happen any time now, is just a few thousand years in total. That's the whole story of the universe in this view. And there's the sense that the story of those few thousand years is already written, and God is just letting it all play out. We're all part of a story that is predestined and certain. The outcome and the essential details of creation's story cannot be changed because it's all part of God's plan. Have you ever encountered this framework of belief? How have you felt about it? How has it influenced your view of God, of the universe, and even of your own life? What impact do you think it has on our world when people of faith believe that everything is static, that the future is already set in place, and that the entire history of the universe is incredibly short-lived? I know not everyone feels that, but it is a fairly dominant view in these days. But what if everything is evolving as the scientists tell us? What impact does that have on us and our world when we embrace the view that everything is in motion, that everything changes, and that our universe is billions of years old? And how does an evolutionary view of reality affect our conversation about God as incarnate and embodied? Perhaps I can begin with a simple metaphor. As a musician and a writer, I'm often engaged in creative processes. And one thing I have learned is that every act of creation changes me. It's not just that I put myself into my songs and my words. It's that creations have a life of their own. And working with them, relating to them, learning from them changes me. Every creative thing I do opens me to new insights and experiences and discoveries. And nothing I ever create is static. The meanings and interpretations of my art are dynamic. And as my art changes over time, so I change with it. Which raises some questions for me. If we are created in God's image and we are evolving creative beings, is it not possible that in some way God evolves too? And if God is an artist and the act of creating changes artists, isn't it not possible that bringing an evolving creation into being changes God in some way? What if God is evolving along with the universe that God has made? The universe which dwells in God and in which God dwells. I don't believe that this image of God is actually that far from what we see in Scripture. Yes, there is that one verse that says that Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. But there are also passages that speak of God changing God's mind. And there are many places where the Bible speaks of God doing new things. See, I believe that the Scriptures present a picture of God that is dynamic, evolving, and able to change, not static, not unchanging. So what does it mean for us to think of God as evolving, and of the universe in which God is incarnate as evolving too? To begin with, it means that we really need to recognize our place. We are participants in the universe and in its evolution. How we evolve forms a small part of the evolutionary trajectory of the universe. And so we need to be conscious and intentional about our own evolution. And to do that, we need to begin to release our hold on any ideas that see God and the universe as static. Secondly, as we seek to be mindful in our own spiritual journey, as we seek to evolve consciously, we can observe and learn from the evolving universe. We can notice how the process of evolution incorporates the forces of life and death and love and uses them to grow and change and expand. We can see what moves life and creativity forward in the world, and we can also see what brings about destruction. And we can nurture all that brings life within ourselves and in our world. And then finally, we can be more conscious of how God evolves. Whether that means noticing our own evolving understanding of God, or whether it's embracing a perspective in which the divine is also within the divine nature evolving, that's up to us. But either way, as we recognize that our experience and understanding of God changes, so we can be open to an ever-changing, ever-growing sense of the divine in our lives and our world. See, evolution is not just a nice idea. It's an essential reality of the universe and of our own lives. And when we begin to nurture a deep awareness of the evolutionary processes around us and within us, and when we make evolution a conscious facet of our spirituality and our experience of the divine, it can open up wonderful creativity, wonderful possibilities. And it can lead us into the most wonderful experience of an evolving incarnate life that is vibrant and dynamic and so very exciting. So let's sit with these thoughts for a moment. And again, make a note of what has caught your attention today. Identify what you want to think about more, the things that have excited you, the things that have made you feel a little uncomfortable. Think about what has resonated with you and what you have questions about. And I really encourage you to make a note of all of these things so that you can carry them with you into the week and you can go back and think about them more. And now, once again, I invite you to go back to your journal and on a fresh page, draw those circles again for each thought, emotion, feeling, and task that you identified at the start of today's practice. And again, make the circles different sizes and depending on the size or importance of each thing. And you can place them closer or further away from each other to indicate how they relate to each other. When you've done that, and when you're happy with how you've depicted kind of what's going on in your life right now, think about the ideas from today's reflection that spoke to you the most. And again, give each one its own circle, each idea, concept, metaphor, suggestion, anything that resonated with you. Make the circles different sizes and relate them to each other with different distances. So again, you get a sense of your impression of what today's practice has been like. And then when you've got all of that in place, once again, draw lines to connect what you've learned today or what you've experienced today with what's going on in your life, those emotions and feelings and tasks that you identified. See how today's reflection speaks into each area, and make a note of any significant insights that may arise from this exercise. And once again, I encourage you to live with this diagram through the week. Return to it every day if possible, and adapt it as needed as your insights and experiences change. And now, as we bring today's practice to a close, I invite you again to write down just those two things, those two main things in your journal that you will carry into your life and relationships in the week ahead. Firstly, what is the one truth, the primary truth that has stood out for you today that you want to remember and that you want to draw on throughout the week? And then what one thing can you do to live from this truth each day of the week ahead? And again, write them down or put them in your phone so that you can go back and remind yourself of these two things and of the other insights you've received from today's practice, and so that you can remember to put them into practice in your life in the days ahead. And so now, as we return to our daily routines, may we go in a deeper awareness of incarnation, this evolving incarnation of which we are a part. And may we remain open to experience incarnation more deeply and experience the incarnate God more deeply each day.